Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. Champai Soren today sworn in as the Chief Minister of Jharkhand. But people are still asking, is the political crisis in Jharkhand is over? And why I'm saying this is because JMM and Congress MLAs have arrived in Hyderabad today. They are staying put in a private resort and they will be continuing to stay there for about 2 to 4 days. Now, there was a cabinet decision also in Jharkhand today that the Jharkhand Assembly session will be held on 2 days, that is 5th and 6th January. Now, as far as Hemant Soren is concerned, uh, uh, ED has been granted the custody by a PMLA court in Ranchi. So Hemant Soren will continue to be in the custody for the next 5 days. But how vulnerable is the Champai Soren government given the fact that the JMM and Congress MLAs are staying put in Hyderabad? Is the political crisis really over? That's a question we are asking. I'm joined by Javed Ansari, senior journalist and editor. Thank you so much, Mr. Ansari. We have Mr. Manoj Prasad, who joins us, senior journalist and editor, who joins us from Jharkhand. Thank you so much, Mr. Prasad. And I'll begin the conversation with you, Mr. Prasad. How vulnerable is the Champai Soren government, given the fact that the JMM and Congress MLAs are staying in a private resort in Hyderabad? Yes, Mr. Prasad.
As we all know, in politics, anything can happen anytime. The entire uncertainty actually evolved when Hemant Soren resigned. And again, it took about more than 24 hours for the governor to call him to and administer oath of office. But prior to that, when actually Champai Soren offered and submitted one letter saying that he has the support of around 47 MLAs in the assembly of 81 MLAs. But when they presented themselves, there were only 43 MLAs. So there was a gap of say around about 4 MLAs. This actually gave rise to one suspicion whether he has real majority or not. Because on the other side, the opposition BJP was always claiming that there is some kind of dispute within the party and within the family of Soren that is basically created problem. And that probably may be the reason why the delay took place in calling Champai Soren to take oath. Now, when he has to prove the majority on the floor of the House on these 2 dates, or whatever date that basically he has taken it on that day, to my mind, in politics, anything can happen, and everything has to be decided by the MLAs who are there right now in the ruling camp. Now, as we know that elections are going to take place by December, January this year. And every MLA and every politician, they're professionals. They always look for their own fortune in politics. And seeing right now the entire thing, they will decide whether they will stick to this Champai Soren government or not. I do not know what will happen. Nobody can predict in any kind of thing that is going to happen. But it is very tough.
So
at the same time, I feel...
Mr. Prasad, allow me to interrupt you. Are you saying that the flaw test is the next big challenge for the Champai Soren government because the MLAs are still vulnerable?
I think it is a tough task, but right now, if we look into their own background and the support they have got, in absence of Hemant Soren, who tackled these people very well. But now Champai Soren is supposed to be loyalist of Hemant Soren family, particularly CM of Jharkhand, and even Hemant Soren is very loyal. But the loyalty is not very important. Important thing is looking into the aspirations of all the MLAs of 3-4 parties. One is this RJD, only one person who has already taken oath. But within the Congress, there are 17 MLAs. And all of them are very ambitious. And
Right.
for the last 4 years, they were not very much satisfied with the kind of support they were getting from the party. Now, you know one thing very well, that they always actually aspire for it. But given the situation, I think the scene is very tough for him to prove it. But ultimately, it will be very difficult for them all to switch over to the opposition party. So
Right.
therefore,
But
number
another
is
question
such.
before I go to Mr. Ansari, Mr. Prasad, I'm talking about the political shrewdness of Champai Soren because you're there in Jharkhand, you would know him better. Is he politically shrewd to manage all the parties? Now, let's for the viewers just recap the number strength, what it looks like in the Jharkhand Assembly. JMM has 28 MLAs, 29 MLAs, sorry. Congress has 17 MLAs, RJD 1 MLA, left has 1 MLA. That takes the number to about 48. That's what the strength of the Jharkhand Assembly looks like. Now, talking about Champai Soren, now does he have the political knack, that competence to deal with all the parties, maneuver, and given the fact that BJP will try its best to break the party?
To my mind, am I supposed to talk?
Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Prasad, and then
I
I'll.
can tell you one thing right now. Champai Soren is basically the one who is not shrewd. He is a person who is loyal to Soren family, the Shibu
Right.
Soren family.
Right.
And to my mind, if I look into the whole thing, what is happening around today, for instance, he has just stuck to the officials who were basically there in the bureaucracy. For instance, he has already appointed one principal secretary who was secretary to CM Hemant Soren. Secondly, the advocate general who was there in Hemant Soren government, he has again appointed him as advocate general. To my mind, he is going to follow the steps taken by Hemant Soren and guided by Soren family for sure. And that, if that is successful, here the problem is not from what you call Champai Soren. Problem can emerge from within the Congress party
All right.
and three, four MLAs within JMM who have
Right.
been opposing Hemant Soren for quite some time. For instance, one is Lobin Hemrom, who has been opposing Hemant Soren for the last 2 years. Then Sita Soren is there, who has been opposing Hemant Soren for quite some time and has been reportedly having link with BJP. In the given situation, but the number, they are not in a position to show that they will be able to topple the government.
Right.
Because 81, as you rightly said, that 48 MLAs is supposed to be backing the Champai Soren right now, theoretically. But opposition has only 32 MLAs. So the number is such that it will be very difficult for the opposition also to bring down this particular government, to my mind. So that way, I don't know. Somehow the other scene is very complex and
Right.
difficult for the opposition also to topple the government through any means. This is what I feel.
All right. Now there is Javed. I'll come to you now. Hemant Soren is already under the pressure of ED, and his custody has been granted to the ED for the next 5 days. Now, how is Champai Soren really going to handle the pressure, given the fact that Nishikant Dubey, the BJP MP, yesterday had started making statements that where is Basant and Sita Soren, and he tried to indicate the fact that all is not well within JMM. He also said this on air. I mean, on camera. Now, how vulnerable, according to you, is the Champai Soren government, even if the MLAs return back to Ranchi?
Look, the MLAs will return. Inevitably, they have to return because they need to vote when the flaw test happens on the 3rd and the wherever you 5th and the 6th. So they will return. The question is, and what Mr. Manoj said, that they had 48, but only 43 turned up. Or they had 47. They presented a list of 47,
Yeah.
but only 43 turned up. Then what happened to the 4? I am given to understand that there is one gentleman who's in hospital, who's undergone a liver transplant, and therefore he couldn't be physically present. But then what about the 3 others? Who are the 3 others? Are their whereabouts known? Are they in the suspect list? So
Right.
while while he may be in power, or while Mr. Champai Soren may be in power, he may not be able to govern as would be expected of some the chief minister, because he's very precariously one. And two, I mean, who can put it? What can you put past this government, the central government, when you have the might of the central government and all the agencies that are answerable to it? Then any number of pressure points can be pushed and exerted on these MLAs. I'm sure a lot of them have skeletons in the cupboard, as most politicians have, and then they will be susceptible to pressure. And who knows? Right now, he may pass the flaw test, but couple of months down the line, ideally the BJP would like to have a friendly government in place before the so before the Lok Sabha elections, and certainly before the assembly elections later in the year.
Can I
Yeah.
intervene?
Yes, Mr. Prasad.
What you have actually opined, I think that is by and large correct. But there are two things. One, that first of all, first he has to prove majority there on the floor of the House. If suppose he manages to do that, and to my mind, probably he should be able to do it. Even if he succeeds, then the problem, as you pointed out, how he will be able to govern. To my mind, there are two ways things will happen. Opposition BJP will like to have president rule here in Jharkhand. But for that, this government has to fall, and no other government, no other party will be able to, only when no other party will be able to form the government. To my mind, the entire actually number of the MLAs there, the political party is concerned, is such that it is very difficult also for BJP and ASU and independent. This side they have 32, and 32 means in 81 member assembly you require 9 MLAs or 8 MLAs to cross over to them, or may remain absent about say 16 of them. Then only they will be able to form the government, and that is very difficult. Very difficult. So, in the given situation, Champai Soren has been basically selected by Soren family mainly because he is the man, like he can be basically dealt with like remote control. So remote control way he's very loyal. He has been very loyal to Soren family, and whatever actually these people will direct him or suggest him to do, he will follow that. And that has become very clear today. Right. When he appointed the Advocate General, who was Advocate General of Hemant Soren. He appointed actually Principal Secretary, who was Binay Chobe. He again has become Principal Secretary to CM. To my mind, that entire actually the bureaucratic circle is being actually backed by Soren family. And same people are basically there in the team which is emerging right now. So governance will be a tough job, I can tell you. And this suits BJP.
Right. So you are saying that governance is going to be a tough job. It looks like a precarious situation. Javed, now coming to you. So it's not going to be easy to topple the Champai Soren government. And of course, Champai Soren also will not find it very easy as far as governance is concerned. Now, how will BJP then try and capitalize this situation? Because it knows its strengths and weaknesses. And then how can it, make the best for itself? I'm talking about BJP. Yes.
One, they'll try and make life difficult for this government to ensure that they can't govern. They may continue in power, but yet not be able to govern, yet not be able to implement their agenda. Two, I think this will be a multi-pole strategy. One, don't allow them to govern or don't allow them to get comfortable in government. Two, make life difficult, try and poach on their numbers, try and wean away numbers. And as usually happens when elections approach, especially once the code of conduct comes into play, there will be, MLAs and MPs start migrating from one to the other. So then they'll try and use the agencies, try and use other people, reduce the numbers. So that even if he continues, he can't govern. Two, they may not be able to form the government, but they can have president's rule. It would suit them ideally if they can have president's rule, because president's rule will mean, the governor is their man, is
Right.
their appointee, and directly then the center will be in charge there. So BJP is a party which doesn't leave any opportunity. If there's an advantage to be had, irrespective of whether it is
Right.
of the consequences, they will go for it.
Now, one final comment before I end the program, Mr. Prasad, to you. So, is there a likelihood that, of course, BJP will try and pull out all the stops, whatever it can, to destabilize the government, let them not govern. So, is it possible that after maybe that the Champai Soren government looks very, very stable till at least the Lok Sabha elections, once the results are out, maybe this intermediary game of, scaring the MLAs and all that will become more intense post the Lok Sabha elections, and then probably could be the chances of putting in the president rule? Is that a likelihood you're sensing in the
There are
coming
two things that this question is excellent. Two things I like to just point out what I personally think, which is very important. Governance actually doesn't only lie in the hands of politicians, those who are ministers and chief minister. It all rests among the bureaucrats who are governing, the executives who are basically, responsible for formulating the plan and executing it, implementing it. To my mind, during the past 2.5 years, 3 years, what I have witnessed, even during the regime of Hemant Soren, there has been a very tough situation and no plan was being implemented thoroughly. Hemant wanted actually these policies to be implemented. At the grassroots level, it was not being implemented. It was being actually just, announced there in media, and it is not actually getting implemented at the grassroots level.
Hmm.
If that was not happening during the time of Hemant Soren, who was very strongly trying to regulate the whole thing, in the emergent situation when this guy has come up, Champai Soren, who is basically, to my mind, has not that administrative capability to govern and execute and make the bureaucrats formulate plan and implement it. To my mind, it's going to be very tough for this Mahagathbandhan government under the leadership of Champai Soren to perform. That suits the opposition very well. And in the given forthcoming Lok Sabha election, it is going there. See, they are professional politicians and they're competing with these people. They will definitely mobilize the masses in that way that, look, the people you elected are not in a position to influence. So it is going to go in favor of them no matter what happens
But
here.
Mr. Prasad, one more question before I wind up the interview. That now that Hemant Soren has got arrested, I'm not talking about the Lok Sabha elections, but the treatment meted out to Hemant Soren, will it go in his favor as far as the Jharkhand assembly elections are concerned? Because many people do talk about this fact that, BJP has committed a political harakiri by arresting Hemant Soren.
You see, making a statement is very easy by any politician anytime. To my mind, at the grassroots level, I'd like to tell you the entire actually the people around there in Jharkhand, they are actually divided into groups. Out of 14 Lok Sabha constituencies, 12 were won in 2014, 2019. So BJP has been a very strong party here.
Right.
Now look, the opposition, JMM and other groups, Congress has weakened. There's no organization at the grassroots level, I tell you. This is where lies the problem. Most of the 17 MLAs the Congress has, probably they are feeling very, they're very at ease, because somehow the other, I feel some kind of BJP is a very strong organization at the grassroots level.
Right.
And there is some kind of a wind or wave, whatever you call it, is basically flowing in favor of Modi. That creates problem for MLAs also to think about their future. To my mind, the coming time is going to be very tough for Mahagathbandhan to, think about it. And look, one question of yours is very important, that arrest of Hemant Soren by ED is what kind of impact it has left. To my mind, among a section of Adivasis, there was perception that he actually has been trapped by BJP. And to my mind, that feeling is there among Adivasis in a larger section. I'm not talking,
All right.
Adivasis also divided lot,
Right.
but
All right.
the feeling is there.
Yeah, I'm running short of time. I'll just take a quick concluding comment from Javed and then end the program. Yes, Javed, over to you. Yeah.
You know, conventional logic would seem to suggest that when somebody is arrested or when the government at the center acts high-handed against the politician, his people, his community, uh, uh, it will certainly get him some sympathy. Now, I don't know whether if he's already expended all his goodwill through his governance or the lack of it in these 4 years, then it's a different story. But conventionally, this does happen. How much of that will, what will be the quantum, the extent of the sympathy that his arrest generates for him and his party? This Mahesh ji, perhaps based there, is in a better position to judge than both of us.
Right. So certainly, the CM has been appointed. Champai Soren has been sworn in as the chief minister, but the political crisis still continues. It's a situation of uncertainty. But yes, the next challenge, of course, will be the flaw test. So we'll have to wait and watch how things unfold then. Thank you so much, Manoj Prasad. Thank you so much, Javed, for joining the discussion. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion: subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.